Welcome to Let's Play with Honey in Minecraft. I'm on CoStar's survival server, but this time it's going to be something a little bit different. I'm actually going to get a guided tour of a very special town here on the server by the town leader, Zabur. This place has a ton of history, and I can't wait to show you. Hi, Zabur.
Hi there. Well, welcome to Last Refuge.
Thank you. What are we looking at?
Well, here's the perimeter wall and the main entrance to the town itself. As you can see, the cobblestone of the original tower and walkway, and the smooth stone of the newly built wall.
So there's history here.
Fair amount. I spent a while writing it down. And actually my school books are all covered with bits of info which I need to add in and stuff, which is quite interesting.
So you've kind of taken this project as a role player sense of there's history here, there's named areas, different eras of building.
Exactly that, yes. I tried to make it as believable as possible because I'm interested in that sort of thing, because often you don't see much history of buildings. It's just, oh, well, there's a tower, that's cool, but what's the story behind it? Why is it there?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and check out Last Refuge, and you can tell me all you want.
Okay. As you can see from here, the original tower over in the distance, and some of the buildings poking up through the sand. Last Refuge is quite a unique town because it's completely buried underneath the landscape. The knights who reside in the tower came under attack from a great force, presumably, though no one knows, powered by nether portals, which I will also reference later when I take you over there, which is quite interesting. And they defended themselves against these evil beings by summoning a sandstorm and covering the land in sand.
So the city proper is buried, and all we see are the structures remaining poking through the top.
Exactly. So here's just the main section of the town. Got the blacksmith, who's currently the only person who seems to be a bit talkative at the moment, and he regurgitates a little bit of history every now and again.
Yeah, earlier I was down here at the blacksmith, and I saw him talking about the knights and those few who are still here.
He's actually one of the few survivors, because when it happened he was a small child, and so he can remember exactly how it went about, because the knights pulled the sand out from the sea and caused a sandstorm around the ship that was attacking them. And then when they destroyed the ship using the guns which are stationed on piers, which I'll show you in a sec, the ship actually exploded and forced all the sand out across the landscape, forming the deserts you see around us.
So there's a full cause. It's interesting that you do that here, because you can see up above, and we can take a look at that when we're at the tower, it's not a desert everywhere the eye can see. There is a forest, there are other things, so all that kind of lines up with your history.
Yeah. So, right, I'll just show you around. This is the little pool, which was actually originally here inside and was supported by this roof, as you can see. And when it was buried, the struts kept the roof up, so it created this weird effect of being surrounded by sand yet still hollow, unlike the streets which had to be dug out.
Yeah, I got that kind of a feel like everything was paved or, cleared.
Yeah, oh, you can see some of the windows have still got sand lodged in them. Also, when we're on the way, I will show you a few little secrets, which are some recent additions to the place.
All right.
As I said earlier about the cobblestone, smooth stone, you can see this building is cobblestone, and it was one of the original structures built, and this is the guardhouse for one of the piers.
And of course,
The
the cannon.
and of course the cannon. Now these cannons were built on top of the piers to defend against the attacking ship, and as you can see, just over there in the water, is still some wreckage from the vessel.
Very cool. So you have is that a cannon over there on the opposite side as well?
Yeah, that's the entirely smaller section of the town. It's just one little stair going down to it. And the excess magic caused by the sandstorm when it was blown across actually made the water level rise, which is why you'll see some of the parts of the town are below sea level. When uh, in my history, the tower was on a bluff which extended about 10 meters above the sea level, so you can see how much it rose.
Right. And so as part of the history and the defense happened, this was a consequence.
Yeah, but it was a consequence completely accidentally because they meant for it just to sink back into the sea and be left with a completely fine town. Down here we have the entrances to this area of the town. So we've got the boathouse in here, which is just a little building with a glass roof and was meant for just passing ships coming down the river that could just unload some supplies into the town. Down here we've just got a little farm which miraculously escaped from being crushed by the glass roof.
Oh, with all the sand.
Yeah,
Well, that's good for the blacksmith and the few knights who survive.
yeah, and me as well, because there's nothing else to eat around here. This is the library, which is where I added the recent thing. This is actually one of my favourite buildings because it's got a great view of the sun rising, as you can see through there.
Oh, it does.
In fact, I even added a little seat up here.
I like your sign.
Yeah,
Now that's timing. Room with a view.
indeed. Would you like to see a secret?
Sure.
Okay, you stand by the entrance and face towards where the sun is rising.
Right here?
Yes. Ta-da!
Whoa. We've got, there are a lot of there.
Yeah.
What have you done down here? Oh. And the sand up above.
Yeah, only stopped by the chimney itself. This was originally the storage room for the books that weren't in the main library itself, so that somebody could come down, just grab some of the books which people wanted, and then go back up. But it was then turned into a sort of town meeting room after the other was incidentally sunk off off the rest of the town. Righto. So you can see all the houses and buildings are all slightly different because they're all built on top of each other because of the age, which is illustrated in a very good way by the foundations, cobble foundations of the original buildings with smooth stone, brick and wood for the new stuff.
And the sand is just dug out enough to get through where they need to.
Yeah. My little apothecary.
Only 26 days since the last accident.
Yeah, it's a new record. Fortunately, sorry, they have to maintain a good record because every time there's an explosion, it destroys the roof and the sand falls back in.
Ah, so a treacherous place to work.
Yeah, the guy who runs it is a little bit mad, really. And here we enter the sort of residential area with a couple of houses. This one's a bit weird because this second floor down here was the original ground level, and that was the next floor above. But after being buried, half the town was crushed by the weight of the sand, and so everyone had to move their stuff up a level.
To survive, to continue, everybody had to seek higher ground.
Well, as high as they could with sand. Here we have our little church, which you could see poking through the sand up above. It's a fairly basic church because the people who lived here were quite famous actually throughout the entire region for being quite simplistic in their designs, and they didn't want something overly pretentious. I like to think of this as the sort of mayor's place because it's got, you know, its own stove over here, carpeting, bed, all that sort of thing.
So this would be the leader's home.
Yeah, the guy who runs the town gets the best
Yeah.
house.
Mayor, governor, that type of thing.
And now on to the main attraction. Right, what you're now standing on is the bridge over the Deep Ford. In fact, the entire Deep Ford is this bowl shape here. The river on the right is called the River Lythe, and the river on the left is called the River Mellifluous.
And they both come in here.
Exactly. The power of both coming together formed this bowl shape, and then just the little gap you can see underneath us, which is the Deep Ford itself, which is an interesting estuary to the sea. And the knights put their tower on a bluff just nearby so they could keep watch, because this is where a lot of ships came to and from the country, because the River Lythe goes all the way to Willowvale. And here we are. This is the North Sands and the South Sands, Deep Ford, River Lythe, River Mellifluous, and Last Refuge.
Yeah, up here you really see how there's only a couple of buildings poking up at all.
Yeah. Ooh, almost fell off the edge there.
And then we have this epic tree.
Yes, the oldest silver birch in the land. All the silver birches you see on the mainland over there are from this tree here.
So they planted it over there. They planted all the saplings.
Exactly. Because when the land was covered, it destroyed most of the trees because this was an entire forest stretching all the way over there, and the sand buried it all. And the only tree that survived was the one that they kept on top of the tower. I'll just take you to the second guardhouse, because then you can get another good view of the town from it.
I would have completely missed this as even being here. Depending on the angle as you come in, you don't even see that entrance.
Yeah, it's really quite weird because the town from above looks really small, and then you're walking around through all the tunnels and you feel really claustrophobic, but it's a huge expanse. I think it's a little disconcerting, to be honest. And it's a very somber place, I feel, that you walk around and you know the history and you know that people were killed here, and this was the final stand against the enemy, and they won at great expense to the land and surrounding region. This was the Last Refuge. They crossed from the sea, from the other side of the sea, across here and landed here. And this is where the original settlers built their first tower here. It was a lot smaller. It stopped where you can see the line there where the original tower went. And then when the knights took over the place, they reinforced all the walls and then built on top of it to get the rest of the tower.
So there's the irony too. They came here seeking plentiful and ended up turning it into what they fled from.
Exactly, yeah. Well, look, another secret passage.
Ooh. Well, of course, since everything's half buried, there's access points several places for it.
Yeah, but this is a special place because you can note all the cobblestone around you.
So this was original.
This is the original library. It's actually the strongest structure in the entire land just because of the shape. And these books you see on the shelves are all the original lore handwritten by the first settlers here.
Very cool.
And there is a supposed legend of a secret tunnel. Sorry, a secret tunnel leading out from here, which visits the tombs of the original knights.
Ooh, so a legend.
It's yet to be found, though. Not many people tend to come down here because it's a completely different feel to the rest of the town. Whereas the rest of the town is really small but feels quite expansive. This is really expansive, but you stand here and it feels quite claustrophobic.
So more secrets to unlock at some point if people just take the time.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Zabur, so much for showing me around Last Refuge. It really is a cool place, and I hope people take the time to come check it out.
Sometimes I come on the server and I'm in the library and I look at the sun rising and I hear the music. And for the briefest of moments, I feel as though anything can be possible and that anything can happen. And it's a little sad when you realise that what happened here is just another story.